my daughter told Lauren it was okay for her to wear mascara. Now that's how you parent. You parent at 12 years old, it's okay for you to wear mascara. I don't. At 56, I don't parent like that.
Sometimes we laugh, sometimes we cry. But I guess you know girl in the color she choose, going up.
Hey guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Ivy and this channel is Women's Life with Ivy. And I like to say to you, hey boo.
Women may do it for a night, only one night though.
And for my returning subscribers, hey boo.
Stress, you can stress one night, let the tears fall down one night, only one night though.
So, I asked y'all what y'all want me to talk about. I asked God what you want me to talk about. And so somebody commented, and I'll pin the comment. Somebody commented, why don't you talk about parenting adult children? Did I say if you're a returning subscriber? If you're a returning subscriber, hey boo. And thank you to all my new boo. Make sure y'all give this video a thumbs up. Make sure y'all like. Make sure y'all subscribe. And turn on your post notification bell so you know when I post. I post over here every Thursday. So look out for a video every Thursday. So I want to talk about, I guess we're going to talk about parenting adult children. Okay. So when I think of parenting adult children, I think of somebody parenting me. And I think back to when my mom was parenting me when I was an adult. You know, when I started smelling myself. When, you know, I just thought I knew everything. I had to answer to cancer, right? And I remember my mom trying to tell me, you might not want to do this. You might not want to go here. You might not want to say that. That's not ladylike. You know what I'm saying? And I remember thinking, like, she's getting on my nerves, you know? Like, I know what I'm doing, you know? And it was only in the moment when I didn't know what I was doing, when I had to go back to her. You know, a lot of times, I'm telling this from a mother's perspective because I don't know what it is from a father's perspective, right? So when I think of my mom trying to do all she could, you know, from raising me the best way she could, trying to figure out this thing called life. You know, I have a younger sister that grew up in the house with me, so I was the girl, and I have two brothers, right? I have other siblings, but those are siblings with my father. I'm talking about mainly the ones that grew up in my house, and I was the oldest female. I am 17 years older than my sister. So I was already into myself by the time she came along. Let's just say that my sister is 40 and my daughter is 39. So that kind of tells you where I was at in that time and space in life, right? So I gotta sit up a little bit. I love this chair. I absolutely love this chair. So when I think about parenting my own daughter, you know, I'm going to say me and my daughter have a really, really good relationship. What I have to realize, because a lot of times I could feel myself being overbearing with my daughter because I don't want her to fall into the traps that I fell in, you know. That I know everything, that sometimes can get you in trouble, you know what I mean? But my mom, for me, I'm guessing my mom just said, okay, I did everything I could to raise you in the right way. You know, the Bible says, train up a child the way that they should go, and when they are old, they should not depart from thee, right? So I did some things. My mom did not agree with it. When them consequences rolled around, I had to deal with those consequences. My mother didn't. You know, I remember my mother crying and, you know, just worried about her children, you know, the decisions we were making as adults. And I remember this specific incident. She was crying over my brother. My brother was incarcerated. And I remember telling my mother, you cannot cry over grown children. Grown children are going to be grown. You know, it wasn't until when, I mean, it was other incidents, you know, that I felt like I dropped the ball as a parent. You know, you want to think you did your best. You want to think that, you know, oh, they're doing X, Y, and Z because that's their own mind and their own surroundings telling them like this is a good idea to do whatever, right? But as a parent, you know, when things happen for me, I find myself examining and looking at the decisions and the choices I made when my daughter was growing up. You know, it was some things that transpired that I felt like I didn't do all that I could. I'm going to say that. You know, just the decisions I made as far as men, as far, girl, this ain't what I was going to talk about. This ain't part of it. Girl, here go the chef. I tell y'all. I just love, that's why I love this channel so much. And even for the ladies that are here, I am grateful for the people that are here because it's like God is literally speaking through me. You know what I mean? I ain't saying I'm the great I am. I'm not saying I'm a prophet. I'm not saying any of that. But what I am saying is when that shift comes, I notice the shift because it's not something. Okay, I'm sorry, y'all. That was my sister calling me. I just was talking about her. But when I think of the shift, it's like God is just speaking to who He needs somebody to hear something from. And you all let me know in the comments, like, I needed to hear this. So if I'm doing it and that one person gets something out of it, right? So here go the shift, right? Some decisions I made as far as men, that I use my best judgment as a parent, as a daughter, as a woman who has a female child, any child, but I'm talking about a female because I have a female child, right? So, you know, I just look at that, you know, older men, younger men. I remember I was dating a guy, he was 10 years younger than me, like 9 and a quarter or whatever, younger than me. And you know, we as women sometimes, we don't want to look at the part that we play in how our daughter's mindset was created. You know, we played a part in that. You know, I know for me, dealing with, because I've always been a relationship orientated type of woman, right? Always been, even when I was younger, right? I mean, I still have my little moments where, you know, ain't no robbery and fair exchange. Look, y'all know I'm going to tell y'all, right? Excuse me. But when I think about having a female child and bringing different men around her, drinking around her, you know, like letting her know that like this is okay, like these are the way to go. And I'm talking about even like taking her to church. We will still go to church, we will still pray, you know, but I have to look at what I showed my daughter, you know. And it's like you show your children something, right? You know, it's a saying they used to say back in the days, do as I say, not as I do, right? But even though you say that, your children are still looking at what you do. You know what I'm saying? So when I look at my daughter with the I know attitude, because she do, I do. I have a girl, I have a I know attitude. It's not as sharp as it was. It's not as prevalent as it was. But growing up in my young adult womanhood, I had the I knows. You know, I remember we stayed upstairs. Well, my mom stayed upstairs and I had moved with her when I moved back from Brooklyn. That's a whole nother story. I'll tell y'all about that in another video if you want. When I went to Brooklyn with this guy and whatever. So, I remember making a decision to move to Brooklyn, had to tuck my tail because I'm so grown, had to tuck my tail and call my mom and ask her, can I come home? You know, that's the type of, you know, parent that my mother was. It wasn't even a question. It didn't even matter why I left. My mother was like, yeah, so I'm staying with my mom. And, you know, I got a bunch of friends. I've always been a friendly person. And I like friends, right? Especially male friends, right? So I remember getting ready to leave and my mother standing at the top of the steps. And my mom said, when you come back, we need to talk. And I'm like, talk about what? She was like, you having too much male company. Not that they were coming in the house, because my mother ain't play that. Not that they were coming in, but my mother ain't blind. She wasn't blind. You know, my mother has transitioned. But my mom knew it was different people coming to see me, different cars, different whatever. So she said, we need to talk, you know, and I'm, you know, headed down the stairs and I'm like, okay, and went on about my business. And I remember in that moment thinking to myself, just from the bottom of the stairs to getting in the car, I got to get my own place. Like, you know, because I've heard the saying that two women can't live together, but two women can live together as long as you respect the boundaries that are set and the boundaries that are in place. Now, what I will say is my mama always said, you can't run my house and run yours too. It's just not possible. It's not possible and it's not feasible. You know, because, and what she meant by that is when you in your house, you want to do what you want to do. You want to do things the way you want to do things. Whether you want a sink full of dishes, whether you want a house full of company, you want your house to be the flop house, whether you want to cook, clean, you know, you and your boo, you and your man, you and your husband, whatever. That's what my mother meant. If you want to do what you want to do, you need to get your own stuff. But that didn't mean that she approved of every decision I made. You know what I'm saying? So, parenting adult children. So, I just wanted to give y'all a little backstory or background on me with my mother and her parenting for me, right? So, now, with my daughter, because I have one child. God bless me with one child. I had 2 pregnancies. I had a miscarriage when Courtney was about 1. And so I only have one child. Never had an abortion. You know, I'm not judging. I don't believe in abortions. If I'm woman enough to lay there, I should be woman enough to have it. Now, that's just me. And like I said, it's no judgment, right? So, parenting an adult. Let me say this. My daughter, I don't know if most of you know, but I'm just going to say it again. My daughter was incarcerated for 2 years. So, my daughter has just gotten out of prison August the 1st, right? This year, August the 1st. And I'm like Mama Bear. I want to say, don't do this. Don't do that. Where you going? Who you with? She's not a teenager. You know, I have to understand that her decision and her life is hers. Now, will I say stuff? You know, I was saying something to her just last week, because it wasn't the other day, because today is only Thursday. Today is Thursday, right? I'm making a video. I hope it's Thursday. Wait a minute, let me see. Girl, sometimes I get turned around. Look. Today. Let me see. Girl, my phone is so slow and acting cray-cray. Yeah, today is Thursday. So, it had to be last week. So, I remember saying something to her, and I'm not going to say what it was, but I remember saying something to her. She told me something, and I said, well, you ain't supposed to be doing that, you know? And she was like, Ma, but it was one of those moms like, Ma, stop it. Chill out. It was one of them type of moms. If you're a mother, you understand what I'm saying and what I mean and what she meant, right? So in that moment, I had to say, okay, you know, not to her, to me, you know, because I have to guard my peace. I have to guard what it is I've created for myself, you know. And for me, do I think certain things should be done in a certain way, in a certain order? Of course I do. I'm a mother. So I'm going to look at my daughter in the best possible light. I'm going to want her to make the best possible decisions. You know, a lot of times you don't realize things until you're older. You know, it comes with life experience, you know. But what I'm learning for me, even in this right now moment, you know, it ain't like when I get on here, it ain't like I get on here and try to make it seem like I got all the answers and I know everything, like I've arrived in this life, right? I'm still learning. I'm still in a state of humility. I'm still being taught. I'm still willing to be taught, right? So what I'm learning in this right now moment is that you have to let your children be exactly who they are. You can give your input because you was charged. If you have a child and you see your child going astray, you have been charged to at least put that bug in their ear to say, baby, you might not. Baby, don't. You know what I'm saying? Or baby, you doing a good job. You know, a lot of times, you know, when I look at parenting or I see parenting videos, is people talking about how they can improve the lives of their children. You know, and the real deal is you have adult children who are making phenomenal decisions, who are in a space to where you look at them and you say, I did a good job. When the reality, yes, you did a good job. Because I know I did a good job with my daughter. I know I did an amazing job. You know, when I look at her being incarcerated, like, we all make mistakes. You understand what I'm saying? And sometimes the consequences for your mistake are more severe than others. But we've all made mistakes, myself included, right? But when I tell y'all, my daughter's a go-getter. My daughter's a go-getter. My daughter, before she went to prison, she was doing lashes. She was doing nails. I'm talking about getting paid. Like, they were coming in droves, right? And even now that she's out, people have hit her up. You know, like, she just always had an entrepreneur spirit, right? And that, you know, I will say that I pat myself on the back through the grace of God, because I've always been a person who have worked and had great work ethics, right? Because I honestly believe that a man that don't work, that he don't eat. You know, and I'm paraphrasing that, but God said he'll bless what you put your hand to, right? So I don't want this video to be, you know, a video of me talking about children not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and you got to lay down a law and you got to lay down a hammer. No, you need to celebrate your children. When your children are in a time and space where they need to be celebrated, we need to celebrate them as parents. You know, if we get on them when we think they ain't doing right, we need to cheer just as loud to celebrate their successes. You understand what I'm saying? So, you know, parenting adult children, you know, I'm at a place now when she comes to me and she want to express something to me, then we'll talk about it. You know, I'll say my little whatevers, like I said, but her life is hers. And I have to respect the choices that she make. You understand what I'm saying? Because it's going to come a time, like right now, I am parenting her children. You know, it was not a situation like that, but she told Lauren, you know, y'all know I have a granddaughter, Lauren Kennedy, and my grandson, Terrence. So when she got out, they had this really, really, really beautiful daughter and mommy moment, right? And she was putting mascara on Lauren, and she looked so pretty. Lauren's a beautiful girl, right? But in that moment, just them looking at each other, it just melted my heart, you know. But my daughter told Lauren it was okay for her to wear mascara. Now, that's how you parent. You parent at 12 years old, it's okay for you to wear a mascara. I don't. At 56, I don't parent like that. You know, and the reason why I don't, I feel like a young girl should not wear all that makeup. Makeup, period. 12 years old, no, man, you can't wear no makeup. You can't wear no makeup. You can't wear no lashes. You can wear Vaseline and lip gloss. That's your makeup. You know, because I just feel like makeup enhances, you know, it enhances your look, it enhances your age. And you have men, grown men. You know, Lauren is tall as me. Lauren is a little taller than me. You know, she's slim. I don't want nobody, I want her to look like a child as long as she can. You know, because you don't know about growing up and becoming this adult. Like, if somebody told me to become an adult was going to be what it is and what it was and what it continues to be on a daily basis, ma'am, I would be right back at my mama's house listening to her rules. But you don't know that until you in the swing of things, right? So I want Lauren to remain a child as long as she can. And if that means no makeup, that means no makeup. Now, what she do when she go back and she's with her mom, then that's on you. But as for this house, you know, it's a scripture, Joshua, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. And I'm not saying my daughter's not serving the Lord, because she is, you know. That's her relationship with God. But what I'm saying is, I just said that scripture, but what I really was saying is, girl, I tell y'all, this is God. You know, what I choose to do in my house and how I choose to raise kids, that's on me. If I say no makeup, then that's what I mean. You know, because Lauren came in and had this whole little episode, and it was on my other channel. And she came in, she had the mascara on. Okay, fine, you playing in makeup because you playing. You in the house, you playing. Okay, whatever. And then she come back and she got lashes on. You know, I know what it is. If you let them, if you give them an inch, because I know me. And I know the stuff my mama said don't, and I did. You know, so I don't even want her to get in the habit of wearing lashes or wearing makeup. And baby, when I tell you I be examining Lauren, I be all in her face, like making sure she don't have no mascara on or no eyeliner. I don't even have eyeliner in the house. I don't wear eyeliner. I wear lip gloss. This is a new, it's almost like a matte gloss thing I brought. I just brushed my teeth too. I'm sorry, y'all. But, and I wear mascara. Now, that's what I wear. That's what I wear. I'm 56. I can wear what I want to wear. I earned that right, and I earned that privilege, right? You can't do what I do. You're not going to do what I do, you know? So, that's just like the difference in parenting with me and my daughter. But yeah, when she come, when she call, I'll be here. I'll be here to support you. My mother will always tell me, I will never uphold you in your wrong. If you wrong, you wrong. And that's how I feel with my daughter. If you wrong, I'm going to call a spade a spade. I'm sorry. Then again, I'm not. You know, and I remember telling my daughter, we got into it about something one time, and I remember telling her, I'm not your friend. You know, we are friends. Our relationship has evolved. We're still mother-daughter, but we're on another level, right? But in that moment, when I'm in a teaching state, I'm not your friend, I'm your mother. And in this journey, we learn the difference of me being in mommy mode and me being in teacher mode, but still I'm up under the umbrella of mommy, right? You know, it's a scripture, honor your mother, and I believe the scripture actually goes, honor your father and mother, that your days upon the earth may be long, you know? So, yeah, that's my little 2 cents on parenting adults. I hope you got something out of this video. I hope I came across clear enough, because I'm just at the point now where, ma'am, I need you to mother your kids so I can get on with what I got to do. That's what I'm gonna say. You know, I love having my babies here. Let me just say this. when my daughter do come, and not even when she comes, because when she comes here, because she's in another state, so when she comes here, because she's on parole, so she has to stay there for a little while. But when she gets ready to actually venture on into her own space, not living with me, right? For some reason, I don't know why, I just feel like Lauren is gonna be kind of a tiff with Lauren. And I'm trying to prepare myself for that. Because Lauren went through the transition of a little kid like KK into this preteen where they start feeling themselves, start smelling themselves. That's what the old folks used to say, when you smelling yourself, you know. So she went through that transition with me. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know, because I was there with my mom. My mom has always had us, right? We were in foster care, I think when we maybe were 2 or 3. I would have to ask my aunt. But I believe they took us from my mom and we were in foster care. And like, I don't remember any of it. But, because like I said, we were so young and they didn't take us for long. But we were 2, 3. I don't remember that. You know, my mother got us right back. You know, back then they didn't do all the stringent things you have to do now to get your children back if they're taken away. So I don't remember that. That's just not my story, right? But I'm intrigued to see what that is like with my daughter and Lauren. You know, because right now they're at an awkward stage. Cause Lauren is in a TikTok. You know, like I told my daughter, if your name ain't TikTok or chatting with her girlfriends, her best friend is Isaiah. If your name ain't Isaiah or y'all ain't on TikTok, Lauren got a few words for you. And that's me. But I don't pay her no attention because I went through the transition with her. I raised my daughter. I went through that transition. You know, so to be there for the transition and to understand the transition. My daughter, by her being incarcerated, she wasn't there for that transition. She was there, but not here, physically living on a day-to-day basis to see that transition, you know. So, I don't know. But I'm going to be there to help facilitate whatever between my daughter and my granddaughter. You know, this is my legacy. If you had told me when I was pregnant at 16 that I would have a beautiful daughter, 2 beautiful grandchildren, and a handsome grandson, I never imagined it. Never. Like, I've been blessed beyond measure. You know, and to be, you know, I hate that the situation happened with my daughter and her being incarcerated. But for me to get to be with my grandchildren day in and day out, I thank God. I thank God. Even for my daughter being incarcerated, I thank God because it was a blessing that came out of it. Like, my daughter came out, like, knowing I got to hit the ground running. God has given me another chance, a new lease on life, right? So it was a blessing in it, you know. Whew. I thank God. I thank God because He knows all and He sees all. And she needed to be set aside, and these children needed to be set aside, and I needed to be set aside because only God knows what I would be doing. You know, so these children, you know, even though I'm parenting them right now, these children have been my saving grace. You know, watching Lauren transition into womanhood, being home being available, not drinking, not getting high, not running the street, being available for her. You know, that's a blessing that God afforded me. I remember in that moment, I was in the kitchen and Lauren was in the hall bathroom. And the way she called me, I knew she started her cycle. And I said, Lord, don't let her be the start of her period. And I come in the bathroom and I remember when she said what she said, I remember saying just out loud, God, didn't you hear what I said? You know, just being here for these moments for them. It gets tiresome. It's hard. But I thank God. I thank Him because He's been with me every step of the way. If your children have been taken away, if you've been separated from your children for whatever reason, if you're raising your grandchildren because your child is incarcerated or have passed away, just know that there's hope. It is. I posted my community tab and I put a post in there and said, God is faithful. God is faithful. He is. You know, so, whoa. I tell you, I thank God I love this channel. This channel is directly and solely for women. And I thank God for it. So that's going to be it, ladies. I believe I said that already, but that's going to be it. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. It's free. If you have anything you want me to talk about or discuss, because this is actually a topic that you all put in the chat for me to talk about, right? So if you want me to talk about something, I will. Just let me know. Now, just be ready for the shift. It ain't gonna be, oh yeah, hey girl, you doing this, and yeah, I'm with you on that. Cause God got the final say. I love you all. Bye. Whew.
You can never be what I am, but as long as you with me, that's what it's gonna be.